Greetings, welcome back to my channel. As a member of the Rastafari community, I was glad to see Ziggy Marley released a new song recently called Racism is a Killer, right? And, as a listener of rockers reggae music, roots rock reggae music, lovers rock, ska, and even the new iteration of reggae music, the sound in this new track from Ziggy Marley is very refreshing, right? And I don't know if it's just me. It seemed like it went over a lot of people's heads. I just thought I would like to make some reflections about this song. Before I get into the crux of the matter, let me just say that I've seen a lot of negative comments in Ziggy Marley's comment section with regard to Israel, right? A small percentage of the people commenting under the video were making reference to the fact that Ziggy Marley has attended an event sponsored by the IDF, which is the Israeli Defense Force. All right, and we all know what's going on in Gaza. We already know about all of the loss of life, the countless thousands and thousands of Palestinians who found themselves being unjustly killed. Right, it is tantamount to a genocide because innocent civilians in schools, in hospitals, in refugee centers, persons collecting aid have been killed by the Israeli Defense Force. Right? I just want to get that on the table before I even proceed because it did not escape my notice. I saw this family and I must say that I'm disturbed by what Israel has been doing. Right? But we have to recognize that Ziggy Marley has married somebody who is of Israeli heritage. I don't know if anyone, I think people seem to be forgetting the fact that his wife is from Israel. And I think ultimately Ziggy Marley is taking a pacifist route. He doesn't necessarily support what the IDF is doing, but I think, you know, historically, Israel has been known to be, um, well, biblically, Israel has been known to be, I guess, important to some persons in the realm of spirituality, right? But that's neither here nor there. That's a whole other conversation. I wouldn't want to get into who are the actual Jews, who are the true Jews. We know that the persons who currently occupy Israel are not the Jews that the Bible spoke about. Okay, these weren't the Jews who the African king had rescued countless times. These aren't the Jews referenced in the biblical story because we know that the original Jews were black. I don't have to take that back. I think history has already proven that the original people to occupy that region, known as the Middle East, were of African descent. All right, prior to the Suez Canal separating continental Africa from the Middle East, this region was a part of the greater territory of Ethiopia or Africa. Okay, so the Middle East actually belongs to Africa. This is something I just wanted to put on the table before I proceed with this. Now, I can understand persons might be upset that Ziggy Marley associated himself with the IDF. I too was a little bit disturbed to see Ziggy Marley fraternizing and associating himself with them. All right, I was also disturbed by this, but um, I don't believe in lumping people in with Israel simply because of the fact that they support other human beings. You have to recognize that the Rastafari community is about the unity of all humans, right? And this is supported by the mantra, one God for us all. right? This has been a mantra from the Rastafari community for decades, and we don't believe that the creator is just for black people. We know that the creator rules over the earth, the cosmos, and this includes all of the people, all of the creatures, every creeping thing, every crawling thing, every walking thing, and every swimming thing. All right, we know that the Most High created it all, right? So a human being deserves their right to self-determination. Every nation must reserve the right for self-defense and for encouraging the growth of its people. And that includes black people, white people, Chinese people, all nationalities on the face of the earth, right? So I think when Ziggy Marley associated himself with them, it's not like he's saying, I support the military campaign in the Gaza, right? I think he is just affiliating himself with the Israeli Defense Force on the strength of his wife being Israeli. I don't believe that he just, supported all of these actions taken by the Israeli Defense Force. Now, regarding the song, I don't want to get into that. That's kind of like a downer. And I didn't want to get into that part, but I think it's important to get that out of the way. But regarding the song, Racism is a Killer, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is probably the best reggae song that has been released in recent memory. All right, the concept of the video, I saw one person trying to call the concept corny. They're trying to call Ziggy Marley corny. But the concept of the video was very simple, it's very poignant, and it really speaks to the core message of the song. The message of the song is racism is a killer. And so what he did, he made like a hospital backdrop for his performing of the song, right? And he's a doctor in the video. He's calling himself Dr. Brightside. And as you all know, there's a popular saying which says, we should look on the bright side, right? And so he called himself Dr. Brightside in the video, right? And he's wearing like a medical um, costume, like a doctor's coat. And he has a nurse with him who's advising him that, there's a lot of hatred in the world and he needs to now go into the operating room and operate, right? So when he goes into the room, he plugs the IV into his guitar and he begins to sing the song, Racism is a Killer. I happen to think that this was a very um, interesting take on this. I happen to think that the way he presented the video as like a doctor trying to treat racism is a very interesting and powerful way to represent this theme. All right, but I was really impressed by this song because this song is actually like Bob Marley releasing a song in 2026. This is my key takeaway from this whole song because, for a long time, I'll be honest, for a long time, I wonder why Ziggy made a lot of country music. I really felt like it was his duty to continue Bob's legacy and to make rockers reggae music his sound. He made one song a long time ago called Make Some Music. And that was the last time I heard Ziggy make one of those original 1970s styled reggae songs. Right? Now, he did do some rapping in the song, but the overall sound of it was like the band sound of the late 60s to the early 70s. He also made another song called Love Is My Religion. And Love Is My Religion encapsulated what it is that I just said. It was a song that takes you back to the early era of reggae music where there was, simple, natural ideas that were sang over inspiring reggae beats, right? Well, here we have now Racism is a Killer. Reminds me so much of those early 1970s reggae beats. And I think he actually made the whole rhythm himself because um, there were certain sections of the video in which he showed himself playing the keyboard, playing the guitar, and it really shows that he has a really good reggae IQ, because the bass line reminds me of those Augustus Pablo rhythms, right? It was a good bass line. It was like, it wasn't the standard, how would I say this? Um, it wasn't a generic bass line, right? Also, other aspects of the rhythm just were brought together in such a way that it just sounded like a real, authentic reggae song, And in my view, this is supposed to really blow up. I see right now it's on 87,000 views, which is surprising because this song is such a good song that I really expected a bigger reception. But as I said, some of Ziggy's public persona has taken a hit based on his affiliation with Israel. We know that Israel now is almost like the Third Reich. They're acting somewhat similar to the Germans during the Nazi era. So I think that really affected the reception of this song, right? And the fact that he hasn't really made a lot of music. Ziggy hasn't been making a lot of music, so I think it's gonna take a while for him to get back into the algorithm in the way that he probably would like a decade ago. But family, all in all, I would like to say that I give this song a 9 out of 10, even a 9.5 out of 10. I think a 9.5 would be better. It wasn't really perfect, but then which song is perfect? But in my view, family, you all should take a listen to that song. Racism is a killer. It really is a killer. Um, and Ziggy Marley brought this point home it's a beautiful reggae music video. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen this kind of thing in a long time. So I was really excited to hear this song. Let me know your thoughts about the video. Have you seen this video from Ziggy Marley? I think you should go over to his channel, listen to the song, hit the like button, and help this song to get into the algorithm. I think it's about time that reggae music re-emerges as the powerful force for change that it always has been. I think Ziggy Marley has brought us back to that era where reggae music was lively, where it was um, opposing the negative forces in society, opposing the negative forces in the music industry. And overall, this was a great contribution to the Marley family's legacy of conscious reggae music. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about all these dynamics. One love.